Okay, and we are live. I am just going to take a second to mute people so that we get as little background noise as possible. And hello, welcome to the e-NABLE Town Hall meeting for February 5th, 2016. Town Hall is a weekly Google Hangout on air where team leads and community members are able to update the community on what's been happening. I'm Justine Diamond, your host for this week's meeting. Please remember that you can ask questions to any of our speakers through the Q&A feature inherent to Google Hangout on Air. You'll find the Q&A at the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Just click on the little grid of 9 boxes and it should pop up for you. If you're watching on certain devices, such as an iPad or on a phone, you'll probably find that you can't access the Q&A easily. Questions can be posted to the event page in the comment section, and we will get to those. We try to monitor both. We'll get to those as best we can. And if we cannot answer your question during the town hall, we try to answer it either on the event post or we will reach out to you. So town hall is about the community and about the work that's being done there. It's great when people are able to share what they're doing locally with the larger community. I tend to read through the community and attend the R&D hangouts and look at news reports, and that's where I often find members of the community are doing really cool things. And I'll reach out to them and try and get them to come and talk about what they're doing. Best source really though for what's happening is the community itself. So if there's something you'd like to share with the community at an upcoming town hall, or if there's something, someone you think should speak, if you let me know, I'll see if I can't get that scheduled. If there's something you'd like to see covered or a topic that you think we should cover, let me know and I'll see what we can do about that. You can email me at events.enable@gmail.com. So what's been happening since last week? Well, you can find the calendar on the foundation site. If you're having an e-NABLE event, you should be sure to let me know so I can have that added to the calendar. If you hear about an event that you think the community should be at or have a presence at, drop me a line about that and I'll see if we can't get that organized. If you're interested in being at an event or a maker fair and you need some help to get that organized, that's another reason to get in touch. One thing I have talked about and have not shown yet is the idea of a facilitator guide to help people plan with event planning, just to give them some hints and tips. That is just about ready for release into the wild, and what I will do is just share, if I've set this up correctly, I will share this very briefly so you get an idea of what this is like, and it will be released relatively soon. So I'm going to share my screen and then go over to that. And so basically it's talks about how to get organized. It's got some information about what sort of events this might help you with, what to do first, how to get organized, a timeline, how to get some resources and events. And I will be making that available relatively soon to help plan those things out. I've got actually news for other events. I've got people here who are going to be reporting on those, so I'm going to be pretty short today and pass this over to Rich to talk about a lot of really exciting things that are happening in the education sector. If you've noticed, there's been a lot of stuff there lately in the community, and it's just really exciting. And so, Rich, I'm just going to pass it over to you.
Thanks, Justine. Yeah, you said it. Things have been just exploding in the education world, the education side of e-NABLE. So that's been great. A lot of the groundwork that we've been laying, both with existing participants in our education program, but also with new people coming on board, is really starting to pay dividends. So we're seeing some great things. I am actually on a snow day today away from my school, so that's why if you see a huge smile on my face, that will explain that. At any point, a couple of little kids may burst in here, though, asking to go make a snowman, so I apologize if that happens. I thought what I would do today would be to just focus some of the things that were happening this week, just a little snapshot of some of the things that have been posted in the Google Plus community, but also things that people have shared with me, just to kind of share just a brief cross-section of the different things that we're doing education-wise with e-NABLE. Most of the viewers will know that we've created our E3 Steam, which is our e-NABLE Educators Exchange, And even that has been divided into two sections, the K to 12, which I coordinate, and then the post-secondary, which Marla Parker coordinates. Today I'm going to focus a little bit on just the K to 12 side of things. So let me just get my screen share going here. And I'm just going to run through just a couple of things, and please feel free to shoot any questions you might have as we go through, and I'm happy to answer them in the middle of the presentation or at the end. So I thought I would just choose about 7 different folks that seem to be doing interesting things in the education side of e-NABLE. And I'll just give just a quick description of them. All of these are accessible, or most of these, pardon me, are accessible through our Google Plus community. And if you had any questions or specific questions about any of these people, you could easily shoot me an email, and I would put you in touch with the actual folks. So I saw a really great post from Chris Duckett. Chris is a teacher at UCA Elementary School in Spokane, and has been doing great work for over a year with e-NABLE. Everything from fundraising for printers, which is definitely some ground that a lot of teachers are trying to break into, and so Chris kind of leads the way in terms of having established a precedent for that. So they now use their printer, obviously, for e-NABLE. He's created this awesome webpage for his school's project called the Helping Hands Project. And essentially, in addition to documenting the work that they're doing, Chris has been compiling curriculum and taking videos. He actually did a really cool thing called a finger-free day a little while back, where he actually got his kids to bind their one hand with duct tape to sort of get a sense of what some of the kids who they might be building devices for might be going through on a daily basis. I saw a really great posting of the work they did at one of the Barnes & Noble mini maker fairs a few months back. So as soon as I was able to become aware of Chris's work, and especially the fact that he has started to do some curriculum writing, and that's one of the really exciting elements of our education side, is when we see teachers taking the work and starting to write curriculum that could be informative and helpful to other teachers. I sent Chris a really quick email just asking him if I could add his curriculum to our resource repository. So you can see he's now right there, and I show this just in case there are any teachers out there watching, or people who know of teachers who are not only doing e-NABLE builds, but are also developing curriculum and education activities around them. If you shoot me those emails, I'm happy to keep adding that, so that we have this great compilation of different activities for teachers to use to engage students in this deep and meaningful curriculum work. Great work being done by Peter Graven. Peter Graven's at Deer Creek Middle School in St. Francis, Wisconsin, and they've been doing great work also for over a year. If you're a regular viewer of our Google Plus community, you will remember they did a very cool Frozen hand and a Spider-Man hand and just different themed hands. I like that he did a great post just of some of the hands that they've been doing for the last couple of years there. Additionally, they've actually made contact with some video game designers in the UK, and they're now looking at tweaking the designs a little bit to accommodate video game controllers, and I thought that was a really great little take on the hands, and so I thought I would just give him a little shout out, not just for the work that he's doing, but this most recent initiative. I saw a posting for the first time from a school this week printing off the unlimited arm, and those of you who are frequent viewers will know this is an exciting new direction as we look for good hand designs. That's something that we've been doing for a number of years, but as new arm designs are coming in and on the e-NABLE website, we're starting to see people print them off, and I was really excited to see Peter willing to take this on with his class in terms of doing some of the first assemblies of the unlimited arm. So just an example of how people are just finding the resources on the website and going ahead and building just because it seems like an amazing thing to do. I'm not actually sure if they had even a recipient or whether they were just building it for the sake of building it. And in fact, that's something that we see a lot of schools doing, is just taking initiative, looking for the devices, building them, and then obviously through having more and more people do that, including schools, we get a sense of how easy are the builds and how durable are the devices. even if there isn't a recipient yet on the end, it's great to see schools just taking this on as an awesome little STEM activity. So awesome work. Um, I thought I would use this just to sort of let everybody in the community know that we have an e-NABLE Educators Exchange page on our e-NABLE Community Foundation website that essentially has the steps to, if you're doing builds and you want to move beyond just that act of involving your students in builds, that we encourage you to become members of the community and also register with the E3 STEAM so that we can get you in the pipeline to start connecting with other teachers. And this is just one way that you can kind of take that work that you're doing with kids and then actually get connected with Melina and our matching crew and start to actually build devices for kids. In addition, as I said, to the web page that we have there, one thing that's really starting to be helpful is when educators are registering with our E3 STEAM and just completing this form, and you will find the link to it on that page that I just showed you. This is great because it allows us to keep tabs on people if we ever need to reach out. So for example, as I was putting together today's little presentation and I wanted to get some more information about things, I was able to just comb through that document and find email addresses. We're heading towards some larger kind of regular emailings to that group as well. We currently have about 160 teachers and students registered there, and that is actually just a cross-section of the number of teachers and students that are involved. But if we can get all people who are involved in education applications of e-NABLE, that's going to be a pretty powerful group. So I thought I would just throw a little information there about our E3 STEAM registration as well as the web page. I was going to do this great overview of Colin's work and his work with a Calgary, Alberta teacher, Aaron DeBlanco, but Colin's actually going to be presenting later. So there's a great shot of him, and you're going to actually see him in live and in color in a couple of minutes. So I wanted to just profile an element of our work that I'm not sure if everybody's aware of, but this is the student-generated interest in e-NABLE. And this is a really, for a teacher and for anybody out there who's interested in education, this piece of students coming upon our work and then deciding to become involved and kind of moving their institution or their schools along to become involved is just a hugely exciting component of what we do. So a few weeks ago I received an email from two students, Abby and Eliza from Phillips Academy in Andover, Massachusetts, and they had come across our work and were very excited to get a program going. So they reached out to me, and together we've sort of helped them guide, and there's a little photo of them presenting to their board of trustees, and just a perfect example of students being empowered to be able to not only do this work, but actually institute, institutional change and change at a school. And they're now well on their way, and they're about to start building devices. They found a school mentor and somebody to help connect them to their makerspace at the school. And great to see initiative from students at that school. And that's just one of dozens and dozens and dozens of contacts that we get from students that see our work and want to become involved and want to involve others at their school. So nice job, Eliza and Abby. One thing that we're seeing is really exciting work in terms of schools outside of the US and outside of Canada and outside of Europe and outside of Australia, starting to really become interested in and involved in e-NABLE. If you are a viewer of our Google Plus community, you will have seen postings by Andrea Stadler. Andrea is a director of technology at Academia Cotopaxi in Ecuador, and she's been doing great work there in terms of not only just involving her students with e-NABLE, but also making connections to their local community. So they took a field trip to a group in Quito, Ecuador, called the Range of Motion Project, or ROMP. And she's now connected her students with that organization, and together they are starting an e-NABLE program at their school. And this also is really exciting directions as more and more schools around the world become interested and involved in e-NABLE and start to actually reach out into their community and look for community groups that are doing service for children with upper limb differences, or even finding recipients on their own. Really great and exciting work. When that happens, we always encourage both the builders and the recipients to continue to connect with Melina and our matching department, just so that we can ensure that the quality of devices is up there. So just wanted to give a shout out to Andrea. The interesting thing about Andrea is this was actually her first year at Academia Cotopaxi. So an example of a teacher who came to a school and didn't necessarily have a lot of history with the school, but was still prepared to sort of move the school in a really cool direction. So great job, Andrea. Lastly, I just wanted to give a shout out to Chris Kraft. Chris is a long time participant and volunteer with e-NABLE and has done a ton of great stuff during his time. Many of you will be familiar with he started something called the Prosthetic Kids Hand Challenge, where he's involved his students in a program to get as many schools as possible around the world to build hands for e-NABLE. And I thought I would just highlight him, and then also just quickly show. I'm not sure if you can see this, but hopefully you can. One of the things that I really loved was he put together this great assembling page to help schools kind of get started and understand how to navigate the actual building of the devices. So if you were looking for very straightforward resources on how to build devices, if you just Google Hand Challenge and Chris Kraft or Prosthetic Kids Hand Challenge, you come across this page. And Chris has done an awesome job of involving his, I believe they're 5th grade students. I might be wrong, 5th or 6th grade students. They've put together these really informative, but also easy to follow videos on assembly of devices. And I know I've used those with my students as well, and really, really helpful. So I wanted to highlight Chris's work, not just because of awesome direction he's taking things, but also because of his willingness to kind of open his work up to the community and start posting resources that would be of use to the community. And that we're seeing that all throughout e-NABLE, where we're seeing a lot of teachers really invested in this idea of not just doing great work, but also doing great work to inspire other teachers. So that is absolutely just a cross-section, a little smattering of some of the activity in the education world. There are easily another 20 teachers who are posting amazing things this week that I could have focused on. So keep doing great work out there, and don't hesitate to shoot me an email if you'd like more specific information about those teachers or general questions about our education initiative. Thanks a lot, Justine.
That's great. Thank you very much. It's good to have such a great overview. I should add that next week, I was hoping this week, but next week we'll be having Heather Wolpert-Gowron come to talk. She's a teacher who is just starting an e-NABLE program in her school, but what's interesting and different about what Heather is doing is she's actually pitching it through an ELA curriculum as opposed to a science and technology curriculum. And in particular, she's working with English as second language students. And it's going to be, I think what she's doing is really interesting. I'm going to have her come in because she's just starting the program. We often have people come to town hall who talk about stuff that they've already done and where they've already accomplished stuff, and I think it would be really good to have a perspective of someone who's just starting out. So I'm hoping to have her come next week and then perhaps periodically stop by to show how that progress goes till you get to that point where a lot of the teachers who have already gotten to that point of having completed a hand or having sent it in or have gotten a match or what have you. Peter,
can I add something in along those lines?
Yes, of course.
So Heather's involvement, I can't wait to hear her speak about it, but that's been exciting just because at the start of this, I don't think anybody would have considered an English language arts class as a natural fit for e-NABLE, and we are increasingly seeing that, where we're seeing teachers take e-NABLE in directions that none of us would have ever anticipated. And one thing I'm not sure if everybody knows, but we actually take the same approach to our education side, including curriculum development. We take the same open crowdsource approach to that, where we encourage people to take this project in creative directions, and we don't actually have a formally developed e-NABLE curriculum. I feel we're heading towards that. and that sometimes we get requests from teachers for that. But we are definitely in the position right now of encouraging teachers to be creative and to take this in really unique and personal directions that help just broaden the conversation. And so I just wanted to mention that's a side of our education work that is a cool side. So
Yes, I'm really interested to. I spoke with her yesterday. I'm very excited about what she's doing, and I'm looking forward to being able to share more of that. Initially, in our question and answer, we had a comment from Peter Graven that he just joined us, so I'm trying to get an invite to see if we can get him in here before the end of this session so that he can talk about what he's doing. Otherwise, I hope to have him come on another week. And Peter Leeper in Ohio. I'm working on getting him in as well because I believe the arm that he printed is the first student produced of that thermoformed arm. So I would like to have them present, and I would like to talk to them about their. Since I've put it together as well, John and I here have put that together. I would like to talk to them about their experiences with it, which will help me work with other people who might be interested in doing that. um, Additionally, what Rich didn't mention was, the E3 STEAM program was only launched in August, where we had a hangout very similar to this hangout, where we brought in teachers who have been working with e-NABLE in their classrooms to talk about the launch. And what Rich and I have been talking about and hope to do, we're planning for March, is to do another hangout like that, which will actually update on different programs and different teachers. So that should just be on people's radar that we will be doing that, and hopefully lots of the teachers we mentioned will be able to come and participate in that, and that will be a more in-depth, bigger sharing of information.
yeah, actually, I just to mention, I think that's clearly something we got a great response from when we kicked off our E3 Steam in the summer, and we're definitely looking at a more regular hangout, education hangout um, offerings. And so if people have creative and unique things that they're doing with e-NABLE in their classroom, or if teachers send me their names and email addresses, and we'll certainly begin compiling a little consortium of people who are doing great work there to feature in those hangouts. So, thanks.
Okay, so keeping with the education theme, I'm going to pass this over to Colin. Colin is in Calgary, and he has been putting together and gotten a lot of press for a very large handathon event. And he had a GoFundMe page, which very quickly was fully funded. And what absolutely moved me was that, I'm sure he'll tell you, I'm just going to steal this bit, is that GoFundMe themselves were so moved by what he's trying to do and so inspired that they were a major backer of his program. So I'm going to pass this over to him so he can talk about what it is that he's doing and what he's got planned. So Colin, you just need to unmute and you'll be fine.
All right, so yeah, we started the program or the project out. So I have a company where I do 3D printing services, and I previously worked in education a lot in renewable energy education. And through my previous work, I met a gentleman named Aaron DeBlanco, who has become a close friend, somebody who's very inspiring to me through all the incredible initiatives he's done. And he's created this very unique program where kids can get high school credit for project-based learning. So the kids who are participating in the project that we're doing are essentially taking an e-NABLE class. Everything that they're doing, it's not tied into another course. It's done through distance learning, and they're getting high school credits specifically for doing this project, for building e-NABLE hands. And so it started out with me and Aaron throwing the idea back and forth about doing a project through his program, Innovate, to get kids building hands. And it started out, we had about 2 kids. So he's in Edmonton, I'm in Calgary. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Canada, we're both in Alberta, but we're kind of about 3 hours separated. So my role was to act as kind of a liaison or a mentor to help the kids through the process of 3D printing. And again, so we started with about 2 kids up in Edmonton. So I was going back and forth with emails and Skypes while they were making. We had a plan of making a total of 5 hands. And so I actually put together a press release that I sent out to all the news stations, newspapers, and nobody responded. And then actually I put together a blog post through my website that I released to the social media website Reddit, and then all of a sudden it just blew up. We were on the front page of the Calgary Herald, the front page of the Metro, CTV Global. We just got all this attention for it, and then me and Aaron were discussing, how can we use this to make this something bigger? So then we got to the point where we decided we're going to try to crowdfund enough money to create 30 hands, which is where the GoFundMe came in. And then actually it was just earlier this week, I'm very excited to say that we reached $3,500 that we're going to be putting towards a handathon here in Calgary. It's likely going to be taking place, I think it's going to be March 11th. And so, yeah, and as was mentioned, GoFundMe donated $1,000 towards the campaign, so they were very critical in us raising the money. And other than that, I really wanted to thank. I have a lot of close friends, family. You can see half the donors on there have the same last name as me, so they're also very critical to supporting the initiative, and also local people in the community around Calgary. So one of the things that was great about all the publicity we got is not only did we get interest from other schools, so now we have about 10 students and various teachers who are building hands prior to this event, but also we got in touch with recipients. So actually on Tuesday this week, I had a meeting with a 4-year-old girl who's going to be a recipient and the 15-year-old student who's going to be making her hand. And so just sitting there in this meeting with the recipient and the girl who's going to be building it, it was a magical moment. That's what this project is all about, and it was really touching. So I'm really looking forward to March 11th. We should be able to make at least 30 plus hands. Still working on coordinating some of the events, and Justine and others have been very helpful. I actually had the chance to, we had a Google Hangout not too long ago to help me coordinate. I got pages and pages of tips and tricks for how to run the event. So March 11th, I'm really looking forward to a great event, and it's been incredible to see all the support from people both in Alberta and Canada and around the world for the project. So really looking forward to it, and I appreciate all the help from you guys and the e-NABLE community to make that happen.
That's great. Thank you very much. Does anybody have anything for Colin? Okay, hang on there, Colin, because we probably will, or we will get some questions. You'll probably want to hook up with Melina just to get some stuff with the matches and all of that stuff organized, so that would be appreciated. And, oh, where did Peter go? He was here a second ago. Peter Graven was able to, there he is, was able to join us. Peter, are you good? So Rich talked a lot about the work that you're doing, and we're all very excited by it, but I thought you might want to share some of that. But you're muted, so just unmute. And
all right. So where do you want me to begin?
Do you just want to, Rich, do you want to just do what?
I missed the first part, so I guess I don't want to repeat anything.
No worries. So Peter, we were just doing a little blast of what's been happening in the community, the education community for the last few weeks, and we'd seen a little posting about you had just shown some of the hands that your kids have been building over the last couple of years.
Sure.
I just highlighted, some of the real custom-built handwork that you've been doing. I saw you mentioned that you were connected to a video game producer.
Yeah, a video game designer out in the UK.
Yeah, really cool. If you wouldn't mind just giving us just a quick overview of what's the status of your program right now, and maybe even how do you involve your kids in it? Is it part of your curriculum? Is it a club that you do kind of beside your regular class?
Sure. Sure. Actually, it's an extra. Let's put it that way. Students come in during their lunch hour to work on the project. We kind of introduce it at the beginning of the school year, see who's interested, and then it just kind of grows in the interest to the point where when we are in a sense of limbo as far as moving forward, the kids kind of are clamming at trying to get in here and do some work. That's what they're doing today on me right now. So they were just going to start printing out some hands with no really true recipient in mind at the moment, so that way we can keep the kids going as we wait for our game designer to come back with some new designs with us. So the process we have is with our recipients, we take the information, we talk to the mom, dad, the kid about what kind of things they're interested in, and we actually then have our students kind of work out some prototyping designs as far as what they think would be kind of cool, I guess, in the kid's mind, and then we share that with the parents and the student, or the kid, and then we work then with a guy named Jonathan, who's out, and actually right now he's in Malta, who was a 3D graphics guy for some very popular video games that you've probably all seen. A lot of them doing with Lego. Man, what else can't remember what his games are. Oh, the Angry Birds series. And so he's very good with manipulating and modeling. And so something that my kids can't do, he's able to quickly do for us. And so on his spare time, he actually then will take the student designs and digitize them for us. And then we have our kids back and forth talking about different things. Right now, we're prototyping a couple different things. One is a new Captain America hand where we can actually, because we only have single extruder printers, to have parts snap in to kind of make the Captain America shield work. And so we took a bite out of it, but maybe you can see we have some pop-out designs coming in. So we're playing with some pop-outs. And so he sends us some designs, the kids will play with it, look at it, and then give them feedback as to how it's working. We're working right now with a Lego as well, and trying to figure out how to best incorporate all the standoffs for the Lego pieces. And so we have a kind of a dummy file that has Lego pieces at a variety of angles, and then the kids will evaluate those different angles and how they might fit best on the hand itself, and then we'll go from there. So then once we do that, we print, and then the students will spend their 10 minutes, practically 10 minutes a day, trying to assemble the hands as fast as they can.
And what grade is that you work with?
Right now, I teach 7th and 8th grade science. Right now, most of my kids are 7th graders. My 8th graders from last year are now in high school, and they actually are currently working on a couple hands. Our Belgium collection is really on them right now. So part of the robotics program, they're working with some individuals across the Atlantic here and putting the hands together. So they're kind of doing a side job for me based on their experience. And plus they want to do it so much. And so because our buildings are so far apart, yet they come for me for robotics, it was an easy way to kind of incorporate them on the side.
How did you make that connection with the Belgium group?
Yeah, no kidding, huh? It came from, I want to say, some of our work we did with last year with WebMD and Robin Roberts. She had watched the Future of Health series that we had done and had contacted us through our website. Actually, our Facebook page, seeing some of our hands, and first they didn't make the connection. I was talking to someone in Belgium, but then it became very evident when our translation and our loss in translation of the English language came to be that we were dealing with someone across the Atlantic. And so from there it just kind of built, because she has already kind of a network of people who are in a similar situation as her daughter, and so it just came to kind of snowball. And so now we're up to, I think, going on 4 hands right now that we're going to send out to Belgium one time.
Yeah, that's awesome. We really appreciate you coming in there. It looks like you're right in the weeds with your school days, so we appreciate you making time for us. Just give us a little off-the-cuff description of what you're doing. I think that piece of when school gets involved, just seeing it just absolutely spiral from being in the school, and I often say to schools, when you come on board, I challenge you to just keep this within your school, because it's not going to happen. You get the media interested and parents interested, and then all of a sudden that leads to other groups wanting to become involved. So it's an incredible way to connect kids to their world, not just in the but beyond. So
yeah, and I think you get that when you watch some of the videos that we did with WebMD. You get that kind of the true sense of what students really get out of it when they are, not being truthful and honest with the camera, and they talk from their heart about why they did what they did. It wasn't for themselves. It was definitely for helping out and being a part of a bigger global community than just themselves. Which I think a lot of times students at these ages can be so more self-centered, and now they're exploding beyond that. So to give up their time, because we don't have it tied to any curriculum, is pretty amazing.
Great. Well, thanks again for all your great work and for being part of this.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Peter. I'm sure we'll be in touch probably for this next update we want to do, and certainly for other stuff you're doing, which has been really interesting. So thank you very much for coming at such short notice to be with us. I very
No
much
problem.
appreciate it. All right, I'm just going to mute you because you've got some background noise, but you're more than willing. You can stay or not as you want. Before we move on, I just wanted to point out that this weekend, next weekend rather, February 13th, is Vishak Rajendran's Eagle Scout Assembly event, where he's got around 45 kids and adults, and they are planning on putting together 15 hands. And we have been following Vishak through a lot of really good work he's been doing for e-NABLE. He did a mini maker fair. He did some other things. So I am very excited to see what happens with that assembly event. And if Vishak gets photos, he should definitely send them in, and maybe after the event we can have him come and report on it here in Town Hall if that works with the school schedule. So moving on from education, I think if Andreas, if you're available, we can move on to R&D.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to go.
Okay.
So first thing I wanted to share was something pretty exciting that John and I have been working on that's evolved from a conversation at AU. But does everybody see Fusion on my screen?
Yes, we do.
Good. Okay. So what's exciting is now an idea that John had kind of in passing when we met some of the folks on the Fusion team at Autodesk University in December has now been implemented in the production software. So every time somebody downloads Fusion 360 now, there is actually under the sample design projects, when you open up the software for the first time, we now have the Raptor Reloaded already preloaded into the design software. So as well as a link to the e-NABLE Community Foundation website for more information. So you can open up the Raptor Reloaded immediately from just the kind of the first time you open up that software. So all of the tens of thousands of people who updated Fusion last week now have access to the source file for the Raptor Reloaded, which you can see here. So that's pretty darn exciting, just because that kind of greatly extended access to the design and extended access to a group of very talented product designers, industrial designers, mechanical engineers. So that's pretty exciting. So it's right alongside a lot of the other sample designs that again kind of ship with the production software, and a lot of the training material that goes that ships with the production software. So that's pretty exciting, and it's been a project that John and I have been working on for the past couple of months. So it's great to finally see that in the software. So just wanted to share that as an exciting development. I'll go ahead and turn off the screen share here.
Andres, before you go on, I don't know if you saw the comment, but I think Rich is asking, could you share how people can get the software, because he's had some teachers ask about that.
There is a great link on the e-NABLE the Future website, which I will post in the comments right now, just to make sure that everybody has that. But yeah, Fusion is free for pretty much anybody who is not a large company or a startup who's actually like shipping product. So it's absolutely free for all educators and all nonprofits, and we are usually both of those. And so I've got a little tutorial on both the ETF and the ECF websites that details how to go through and get a free 3-year license to the software. And again, runs on Mac and Windows, is relatively lightweight compared to a lot of the other tools out there. It's about an 800 megabyte install instead of a 16 gigabyte all day install. So either of those links that John and Justine have pasted in the sidebar chat will take you there. And there are also some, now they're getting a little bit outdated, tutorials that I put together last year specific to e-NABLE workflows. There's some other really great tutorial material on that Getting Started page. So definitely feel free to check that out. And again, it's a pretty exciting development to get as many talented people access to those files. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. Let's see. Next link that I'll go ahead and share just to make sure that everybody has access to it.
One other thing I'll do is I'll put a link to the Fusion 360 stuff in the minutes for this
Great.
hangout, which will be available shortly after it's finished, so people can
Excellent.
get it there too. Okay.
So yesterday I finally finished typing up. I think what's ended up being I think it's a 14-page document now. The summary of what I like to think is everything, but is practically probably about 70% of what we learned at the design summit that we had here at Autodesk Pier 9, I guess about 2 weeks now ago. And I just wanted to recommend that everybody take a chance to read through that. It's organized to be pretty easy to read in terms of small sections with headings, with pretty direct minimal, pretty direct simple content. So, and also wanted to just kind of go over briefly some of the again what we did at the summit, why we did it, and what the big takeaways were. So starting with the goals and the scope of what we were doing there. There's certainly a lot of kind of ongoing work. There's numerous things to work on within e-NABLE, but we were focused pretty narrowly on just design challenges and kind of design methodologies. The kind of highest level goal was knowledge transfer from the kind of panel of medical professionals that we had assembled to our design community, or to the designers in the room, so that we could transfer knowledge from these prosthetists and orthotists to those designers, and likewise transfer knowledge from our design community back to them, with the goal of just developing a better understanding of how the work that we've been doing in this community fits into the broader context of all of the work that's been done by the professional medical industry in this space. And so I think that was a pretty huge success. I mean, I think we all walked away with a very different understanding of the work that we do, of the way devices are put together. So I wanted to share some of that. In addition to that kind of knowledge transfer goal, we also wanted to, having assembled a bunch of the kind of leading designers and some of the newer designers from organizations that we've started to work with, like Studio Fathom in Oakland, or 3D Systems, and their work with the K1 Hand. We had designers from both of those organizations present as well. So we really wanted to just kind of do some kind of cross-pollination, kind of get everybody up to speed on each other's progress, inventory all of the kind of R&D developments, kind of design tricks and methodologies that folks had come up with. And ultimately we wanted to kind of walk away with just a much better informed plan for 2016 in terms of design goals, updating kind of protocols and best practices for things like sizing, what kinds of foam to use, what kind of string to use, all to better support the community's work to reduce confusion and to produce higher quality devices. Feel free to jump in with questions at any time. I just wanted to kind of quickly go through the most important things that we learned from this event. So starting with the part of most of what we spent the first day on was developing, one, a better understanding of how medical professionals think about the space and think about our work in the space, and then two, really making sure, or really kind of asking the question, what is the right problem to solve? We've developed a kind of a toolbox and a set of strategies that compose a potential solution, technology-driven solution to limb difference, or replacement, devices for individuals with limb differences. And so the question we wanted to ask is, as we look forward, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, what are, who are the most underserved, in the world? What is the nature of that problem? We've been kind of steadily learning, I want to say over the past year and a half, 2 years, that congenital birth defects resulting in partial hands are a relatively small fraction of limb differences globally, and so we really wanted to dig into the question of, so if we start to look beyond, children with congenital upper limb differences, primarily resulting in partial hands, primarily in North America, what are the other underserved populations that could stand to benefit the most from the technology and designs, or potential for new designs that we've been developing and iterating and prototyping in e-NABLE? And if that population is not, congenital upper limb differences with partial hands, what is that limb difference, and what are the needs of that user group? What is their context? What is their cultural context? What is their economic context? What do we need to, as designers, be cognizant of before we can develop something that comes remotely close to improving their standard of living? So we fortunately had some amazing folks in the room who have quite a bit of international experience under their belts. Primarily, Dante and Caitlin from the e-NABLE Haiti team shared some really important kind of feedback and experiences from their past year and a half of working in Haiti, and also Adam Arabian and Phil Stevens. Between the two of them, have done a lot of work in Southeast Asia and the Middle East, and really, we spent a lot of time discussing what the kind of common themes, common trends are across all of that international work, and what also what in terms of kind of the practical aspect of what limb differences are most prevalent and most underserved, and really kind of honed in on transradial as the kind of one of the most common limb differences worldwide, and also one for which the fewest options currently exist. That's not to say that there is a very big field of existing work for kind of low cost upper limb prosthetics, but there is a lot of the need. It turns out, is not strictly mechanically functional. It's not about how many grasping patterns can the hands achieve, or what loads can it achieve. It turns out that in a lot of other cultures, there's a very strong stigma against limb differences, against having an incomplete body. This is certainly something that Dante and Caitlin saw in Haiti, and it's certainly something that Adam and Phil have seen internationally as well. And so one of the very insightful comments by Annie Hess, an upper limb specialist who joined us for the day, is that one of the ways we should think about and approach the challenge of designing a one of these devices, one of these prosthetic or assistive devices, is our goal should be to address the greatest perceived loss of the person that we're designing that device for. And with that in mind, and this kind of better knowledge of what the kind of international scene and what the kind of pretty local cultural context is in the several regions that we described, or we talked about, including Haiti, Cambodia, Turkey, and Jordan. It seems like one of the kind of most productive things, one of the most impactful things that we could do is create a something that's largely cosmetic to kind of restore that body image and to address that stigma. Caitlin and Dante told a story about one of the patients that they work with wasn't allowed onto the public buses and couldn't catch a cab when she didn't have her cosmetic prosthesis on. And it's that kind of reducing those negative stigmas and kind of allowing somebody to regain something like the ability to ride the bus that's been taken away seems to be a pretty substantial impact. So as the kind of day progressed, we really kind of honed in on passive cosmetic transradial devices that are largely driven from a design perspective by matching or addressing the kind of the cultural needs or the cultural context and the limb difference needs of local or relatively small user populations. It definitely has to be something that is. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all solution, which is why it's a good fit to 3D printing. So what we'd like to do, or what we walked away with, is a kind of the next design project that we'd like to organize a team of largely Bay Area designers around, is to develop a largely cosmetic passive device with modular terminal devices. And a common interface, so that nobody has to design or redesign or work with the entire design of the forearm and the terminal device. So we'll be having running some design competitions, as well as inviting folks to build on a common interface for these terminal devices, so that folks can have a purely cosmetic attachment, and then possibly something that's a little more optimized for a specific task. And the other kind of really important and interesting thing that we learned was, really how prosthetists think about prosthetics. They definitely don't think about it as one device. We, think about the Raptor or the Phoenix as one device. The way a prosthetist thinks about these things is there is the socket, which is the most important part of the device, and then there's all of the componentry that is attached to that socket that is built on that foundational element. So it's very interesting to learn how prosthetists think about that. And with applying that to this new design development project, we're going to be designing this device to interface with prosthetist-produced sockets, so that it's we'd be working with clinics internationally who have trained staff on site who can do that fitting process, make that socket, and then this device interfaces with that socket. So. So apologies if that was a bit of a long monologue there, but that was probably the most important thing. Probably the most important process that we went through was really kind of reflecting on the nature of different needs that are largely kind of locally and culturally driven, and really starting to look beyond specifically North American contexts, because a lot of, one of the first things that our panel of assembled medical professionals said is that it's a bit of a myth that other kind of healthcare options don't exist, for children with partial hands. That there's almost always a way to get a device, and very frequently a way to get a free device for children with upper limb differences in North America. So, kind of really taking a step back and reflecting on, what is the right problem to solve now that we've developed this remarkably powerful tool for solving problems, was really kind of the theme for that first day. So just want to stop for a moment and see if there are any questions about any of that. That was certainly the most important takeaway from the design summit, and there's far more detail about kind of supporting information and a lot of the process and discussion that went into that in the design summit summary that I posted. So any questions coming in?
There are some from the panel. I don't see any in the Q&A yet.
Great. Okay. And day two was far more kind of device technology solution focused. So less about, day one was entirely, we stated at the beginning of the day that we're actually not trying to solve any problems just yet. We're just focusing entirely on discussing in great detail the nature of need, and kind of really identifying what the problem is. And so having a room full of designers who are eager to solve problems, it was an exercise in delayed gratification. But on day two, we spent a lot of time just kind of inventorying a lot of the designs and devices and design elements, features that have been generated in the community, kind of identifying things that are ready for transfer out of research and development and into production. That pipeline is something that is a kind of a long-standing challenge in the community, because most attempts to apply process to that have really not worked well. So we defined that pipeline as something that was out of scope for the very limited time that we were assembled. So we mainly focused on just creating kind of a master list of what's been accomplished to date and what's what are useful elements that are tested and mature and ready for transfer out to the community. Additionally, we spent some time going over what I'm calling the ECF Technology Development Plan. So basically, what are things that the foundation can do from a kind of information architecture perspective, web development perspective, and a software development perspective to really build better tools and better resources for the community. So that includes better architected information on our website. Things like LimForge, which is kind of the next step after Handomatic. We'll have some more information about that soon. And longer term, things like a mobile app for so-called case capture. So basically capturing recipient measurements, needs, location, things like that. So all in all, a very kind of intense, high information density, 2-day period. There's still a lot from that second day in terms of what the design-specific information that still needs to be kind of transferred out. But I believe everything is in that summary document if folks want to start taking a look through. So with that, I think I'll conclude that somewhat verbose summary of what we did at the Design Summit.
Okay, I think a lot of good came out of that. Marla points out that myth that you talked about is a communications problem, and that the e-NABLE community is a good alternative information channel for reaching parents of children with upper limb difference. And that's definitely true. John, are you available? Do you want to chime in?
I am available. I will chime in briefly because it's already an hour after we began, but what an amazing brain dump. Um, I'm in Seattle. Yeah, really. I'm both you and what the educators talked about. What really strikes me about this is the extent to which um, the the foundation and the community is able demonstrably to sort of identify these emerging opportunities, like the e-NABLE Education Exchange, like the Haiti Project, and then to spawn these independent, self-organizing ventures that then develop a life of their own. 2 months ago, it occurred to us that um, Fusion 360 could include the Raptor Reloaded. And by the way, on my screen, I'm now showing that the new website, which didn't exist 2 months ago, includes a page to Fusion, which includes the Raptor Reloaded. And so I'll just say that briefly, what I'm doing as I cruise around right now, I'm in Seattle. I just spent 2 really interesting days with Microsoft Research, where we have a lot of good new friends and potential collaborators that I think are likely to develop into some really interesting relationships. I'm going to mention a guy who I think is going to become a new partner. His name is Sean Kane. He's an HCI researcher from human-computer interaction researcher from University of Colorado, but he's doing a sabbatical at Microsoft Research. I met him a few months ago in Portugal. He's a very distinctive guy because he's a short person, and he has one arm, and he has a 3D printer. And he's going to be working on an arm, including an approach to the cosmetic transradial arm, which we've been working on in my lab. He's going to work on that with some people at Microsoft. So I am feeling so good about what I heard today that I'm now predicting that that also is going to be an area of progress and expanding alliances. And in that same theme, I'm going to visit Adam Arabian's lab today, and Adam has turned out to be just a wellspring of knowledge, both about technology and about the Middle East. And for that matter, I don't even know whether I'm heading at this moment from Seattle to Rochester or to the Middle East. Either way, we've got a lot of really good stuff cooking and a lot of really good stuff percolating. The end.
Thank you, John. Yes, I believe that in the next couple of weeks we are going to have some very exciting updates and information from some of the meetings that you've recently had and some other things that are happening. I am also hoping, of course, to bring in some more educators and their students because I think it's always great to hear from people in the community. And before we end, just a reminder that as you see, we're happy to bring people in. If you're doing something, please reach out to me so that we can share what you're doing. Yes, John.
I'm sorry. I did want to call out a couple of these groups that are just doing wonderful, wonderful work. One of them is the Frog Force group in Michigan, who have been working very well to generate hands and to do all sorts of wonderful work. And the other is e-NABLE Hungary, which is on its way to Ghana right now in another one of these autonomous spin-off ventures, which is really exciting. I just didn't want to fail to thank and congratulate those groups.
Thanks. Okay, so we're already run late. Thank you very much for your patience and your time. We will be back next week, and until then, happy printing. Bye-bye, everybody.